Welcome back to the weekly update, and I'm sorry if you're bored with this or had enough of this, but we're going to talk about Deflate-gate. It is in the news. It's now January 26th. I'm hopefully, depending on the storm, headed out to Phoenix later today or tomorrow for the Super Bowl week. And yes, the dominant theme in the biggest event on the sports calendar in America has been the deflated footballs allegedly used, well, not allegedly, but used by the Patriots in their AFC Championship game. And the question of at whose direction were they underinflated, or was it atmospheric? So let's give a brief where we are on this. The NFL has launched an investigation, and get back to that in a minute. We've had the two major protagonists in this episode already give press conferences. One, in fact, has given two press conferences. That would be coach of the Patriots, Bill Belichick. He has talked about having no knowledge of this a week ago, having nothing to do with this, and certainly not knowing anything about inflation. And I can say this, having been around the NFL 20 years, I never had a discussion about ball inflation or depressurized balls or atmospherics with balls. So it's now happening for all of us. But I was on the business side. I was on the legal side. I wasn't someone that would deal with the coaching operation. So perhaps they would have a better chance to be involved with football preparation or administration, actual footballs. So he also had a second press conference Saturday, which was interesting, where he talked about atmospherics and doing his own testing and how the ball pressure would drop after a certain time and being in the cold, relating it to your tire. When you start the car, it obviously builds up pressure as it goes along and getting warmer. So all this was being used. Listen, and then the other press conference, Tom Brady talking about he had no knowledge of this. I thought his answers were a little more carefully scripted. No knowledge of anything, no knowledge of wrongdoing, and hadn't talked to the league about it as of Friday. So Thursday. Here's where we are. The NFL has announced they have an investigation going into this. It will be headed up by Ted Wells, who, as we know, led the report on the Miami Dolphins locker room and the bullying and the toxicity of that locker room last year. He now is on retainer for this, or being paid by the hour, whatever it is, at, as I'm sure, a very heavy cost. And they will go through this. It will not be done by the Super Bowl. Anyone who thought it would be is naive. We're not going to have any results by the Super Bowl. And in fact, Tom Brady has said, he said again, they have not talked to him and probably won't do so without the Super Bowl. Listen, the inherent flaws of all these investigations are there's no subpoena power. You can't force people to talk. And when they talk, you can't force them to answer fully, answer completely. They may be evasive. They may be unresponsive. And that's the problem with these investigations. Tom Brady will not sit there informally with the investigators. He will require, I'm sure, his lawyer, his agent. The NFLPA will be involved in his testimony, and I'm sure in any player's testimony. This has become adversarial. Players have a lot at stake here if anything's found to be wrong. So this is, again, what we talk about in every lecture, the business and legal aspects of sports. It's two sides. It's the owner's side, the league side, and it's the player side. And they have to be prepared. And they're usually prepared by lawyers because there's a lot of money at stake. There's a lot of reputation at stake. Who better to get involved than lawyers? That's what's going on now. I think it'll be thorough. I think it'll be long. We're in an age in the NFL since September 8th, the drop of the TMZ video about Ray Rice, where everything's under scrutiny. Credibility has been an issue, and one credibility question has been the relationship between Roger Goodell, the commissioner, and the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft. It's known to be close, and that is furthering an additional scrutiny and perception as to what's going on. So that's why this will be thorough. Grab a Snickers. I think it's going to take a while. This is not an investigation that's going to go quickly. So the issue of deflated footballs from the AFC Championship game has bleeded over into Super Bowl week. It certainly was the focus of the bye week. Now here we are in Super Bowl week. Yes, we'll be talking about it. Yes, I know people are crazy about hearing it and had enough of it, but at the heart of it is what we talk about in this class. It is the relationship between, it strikes at the heart of two fundamental principles of any sports league, let alone the NFL. One is integrity. People have to feel invested in the product. People have to feel a public confidence. People have to feel a trust that it's fair, impartial. And the other is competitive balance. We want these leagues to be competitively balanced, so any rule that's played to the edge or broken is an affront to us as a public and fans and media watching it. Rules are there not to be broken, and they're competitive rules. Everything about the NFL we talk about. The draft, free agency restrictions, revenue sharing, the cap, that's all about competitive balance, and certainly it filters down to the field. So, is it much ado about nothing? We will find out. But really it strikes at the heart of two things, competitive balance and integrity. So Deflate-gate, as it's obviously being called, continues with an independent investigation, not independent, with an investigation commissioned by the NFL to get to the bottom of this. We will continue to track it. That's what's going on as we hit Super Bowl week, the beginning of 2015. I'll talk to you next week.